Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Campus Care Ed Talks. Ed Talks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to topics related to education and society. A topic for the day is student suspension or expulsion and does it helps? And to express their viewpoints on the same, we have with us Mrs. Neeru Gandhi, ma'am, director of the Oxford Schools, Odisha. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
I'm at Punjab. Hello.
A very warm welcome, ma'am. Welcome on board. And Mrs. Suman, ma'am, principal of National Public School, Indore. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Mahek.
It's so good to
Thank
have
you.
you here, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking out your precious time, Suman, ma'am, and Neeru, ma'am.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Pleasure.
I'm feeling elated
Pleasure.
and proud to be on the platform, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's an honor.
I'm grateful to Ed Talking. You arrange nice talks which are beneficial for all teachers, students, and everybody.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So let's start off with the session, ma'am. Shall we?
Yes, Mahek. Yeah, sure.
So over to you, Neeru, ma'am. What do you think are the effective ways of maintaining decorum at school?
Well, decorum in itself, the word suggests dignity. What is expected of a person's behavior, the behavioral expectation from a person, and what is becoming, whatever is the correct way. So, maintaining decorum, there is no hard and fast rule, but again, it depends on the situations, the locations where institutions are located. But in general, it is mainly the one-to-one contact or rapport with the students, which I feel helps a lot. Like you interact with them on regular basis, call them by names, don't call them you in the class, personalize that interaction,
Yes.
then find an excuse to appreciate. We should always try to find a chance to appreciate children, be empathetic towards them. Should never give corporal punishment unless or otherwise. Again, I think in any case, corporal punishment is not advisable. Then we have to be very, very fair in our dealings, very, very just and rational in our behavior with our students and with our all of the staff which is in the institution. We should have an organized system. See, everything goes well if we go as per the system. If it is properly organized, known to everybody, our staff, our children, they know this is expected out of us, and we don't have to do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts are clearly told to everybody. That helps a lot because children already know that this is not expected and this will not be tolerated. The school policies, I mean to say. Then keeping children engaged, we shouldn't let them, be free in classes or any time. There can be very many useful activities other than the academics. Whenever a child is a bit free, we can engage them in some, like we have house activities, we have the prefect councils, we can call their meeting, give them some sort of importance. Every child feels I am important. Let's not, it is not very good to select a few children for everything. Importance, a particular place, a particular, I should say, office should be given to every child so that he or she feels important. So to much extent, this helps. And of course, overall, we have to be very, very professional. Though the child feels personal, this is my personal, she's like my mother, she's like my sister, she's very close to me, she's like a friend. But again, being very, very professional in your behavior, that helps a lot. And if at all I feel there are certain cases where there is a problem, instead of directly switching over to a harsh punishment or any harsh step, we should follow a mild procedure from the beginning, giving reminders and then following up regularly, taking parents into confidence, seeking their help also, taking regular feedback from their home, all these things. It is a process. There is no one point that this is how we maintain decorum. depending upon the situations.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Neeru ma'am. That was a very well explained answer by you. Suman ma'am, would you like to add something to it? Some ways you can tell about maintaining discipline at school?
See, first of all, decorum is the code of conduct of a school. Like how you want the conduction of students in the school. It's not only the students, it's the staff also. So, a decorum of a school is basically maintained by all the people who are working there. So, rules are laid down by the school management, the authorities, what they expect of everybody in the school. So, when a student takes admission, when a staff joins a school, it should be very clear to the staff, to the student, what he or she has to basically follow. And then a strong vigilance has to be kept. There should be a strong follow up of things, whether they are being followed or not. And at the initial stage only, corrections have to be done. So things would fall in place most of the times if we basically catch hold of any deviation at the initial start only, and instruct the students or maybe even the staff also that such and such is expected of them and they need to follow. So things would all fall in place, and movement or the school would run very smoothly. Second is teachers have a great role to play in seeing to that the decorum of the school is followed very properly or is executed. So as Neeru ma'am pointed out to a few of the things, I agree with her on those, that small things like greeting the students with names in the classroom also, you kind of keep an observation of the child. Personalized feedbacks can be given to the student based on the observation which the teachers do. It has to be very genuinely done. It has not to be superficially. And one thing which I would like to add here is that if the teachers are stress-free, teachers are very happy, they are burden-free, work is done very, very effectively and properly. And such kind of things basically happen very less in schools, because it rarely happens that one tends to overlook things or it gets avoided.
Yes, ma'am.
And placing of everything is very proper, and such kind of cases of maybe punishments and all occur very few, very less. That's it.
Thank you so much, Suman ma'am, for adding on. Moving forward, over to you, Suman ma'am. Do you agree with the suspension or expulsion policy? And do you think should students maybe they should be get warned or counseling before they get punished?
Definitely, Mehak. Like actually, suspension and expulsion, these are actually towards any case coming of indiscipline coming to the school authorities. These are the last things we basically have in the line. Expulsion is definitely the last thing, and maybe suspension also we try to avoid it to a great extent. So initial, it all falls in the category of observation. I strongly feel when we know the school's rules, they're all laid down in the link book, the almanac, or you call the diary, whatever the school has named it as. Uh, the teachers have to be very clear with the things. The discipline committee has to be there. The sports staff has to be very clear with the things. And as and when things are caught at the initial start only, we need to basically counsel the child. Counseling has to be done. He has to be made clear that such and such thing would not be taken. And he has to rectify his behavior, rectify his act. It has not to be repeated again. Parents have to be taken into confidence, in the sense that they have to be called and they have to be briefed about the child's behavior. Then, if the child still doesn't basically improve upon, we can debar him from, maybe we just lessen his privileges which we have given. Maybe the child is in the school council. Maybe the child may be not made to sit with the friends. Maybe he is made to stand outside the class for some time. He is made to sit separately. Such kind of few initial things can be done to the child, so that maybe that helps out the child to improve upon his behavior. if he's carrying something which is not allowed to be carried, maybe a mobile phone, maybe some other object which actually he's not allowed to carry to school, we can kind of confiscate those things and kind of keep them with us, and later the parents can be called and they can be handed over. Sometimes they wear fancy things, fancy watches, they may be carrying just to show off things to school, which are not allowed. So such kind of acts can be done. So counseling is a very important part of school, where students, as such as they are coming from different social backgrounds, different kind of families. It may be a broken family, it may be a troubled family. The child may be having some kind of different neighborhood where he may be meeting his friends and all, which may be infusing certain kinds of such things in the child. So all these things have to be considered before we basically take up any act of suspension or we say expulsion of the child. And definitely it would be helping a lot in avoiding such kind of disciplinary actions against the child. So I strongly agree that counseling or maybe taking the child into confidence, emotionally supporting him maybe at times. Maybe he's just releasing his energy through doing all this, or trying to grab attention of the teachers by doing all this. So we need to understand the purpose of his indiscipline, which may help us in solving the problem.
Even if you personally talk to a child separately and try to find out the root why he or she is behaving in a particular manner, he's absenting himself or any sort of thing, or indiscipline is creating in the school. I agree with ma'am. She says, like, sometimes children try all these things to grab attention. They feel ignored. And sometimes the parents, they do not know. So we need to counsel the parents as well. It does help.
Thank you so much, Neeru ma'am and Suman ma'am. Moving forward, Neeru ma'am, do you think suspension or expulsion of students is it a correct way to handle students that has been breaching the code of conduct?
See, it is not about it is correct or not. Everything has pros and cons. Depending upon the indiscipline, depending upon the breach the child has conducted, that will decide that what should be done in a particular case. Now, if I talk about the problems that continue, I'll talk about the benefits later, but I think most of the times it can cause problems if we directly switch over to expulsion decision or suspending a child. It shouldn't be a consequences of one's anger. Like, I am angry today and somebody says something, somebody does something, I say, okay, just get out. You are out of the school for 2 days. That should be, because it can have many, many bad consequences. One today child is doing one thing wrong. Once he sits at home, or he feels that, most of the times these indiscipline cases we face with adolescents. Children after 7th class, 8, 9, 10th, 11th, 12th, all these children. So these children, they have a very big ego, or you call it self-respect or ego, more of ego. Yeah. So they are hurt, they are insulted, and they can be revengeful at times. They can be quiet and they become introverted at times. So all these things can be the consequences. See, once a child develops this sort of a feeling, he can be harmful to any extent. He can start having a low profile in the class or in the society, just so that he is not insulted all the time. He can be a backbencher. He can resort to some more disorderly conduct, like he can become a criminal, he can take on to drugs, he can anything. You can't imagine that. It is all psychological. It depends on what sort of psychology a child has and what sort of background he's from. His immediate environment is what type. So that has to be watched very carefully. These drawbacks can have these consequences can really be bad at times. The child's total personality can be rather marred rather than improved. And then in practice, the academics also go down. The child may start having less interest in the studies. Like at times, I happened to meet one child. Every time the teacher was complaining, "Ma'am, he's not doing anything. Ma'am, he's not doing anything. I want to call his parents. Parents are not responding." I said, "Send the child." I talked to him. I said, "What is the problem with it? Why don't you do your work? You come to school to study all the way, travel so long. Your parents are spending money on you. Why don't you study?" He says, "Ma'am, whatever I do, my teacher never appreciates me." I told the teacher, I said, "The moment he gets 60% marks or 50% above marks in the test, bring him to me and appreciate him." So that worked. The child started performing. So sometimes there is nothing absolutely, there is no cause. Just a small act on our part helps us. And suppose yes, we need to give means constantly, as the teacher was complaining, "Ma'am, he's regularly not doing his homework, parents are not responding." And one of the means the seniors, he said he should be suspended for a few days. Parents will come running to us. See, more harm could have been caused rather than the. But in the other case, suppose at times we tend to ignore problems. There can be real problems with children also. The child may be the child is already in a bad company. And we are ignoring. He will improve, he will improve. He becomes a threat to other, spoils the school environment. And he starts taking you for granted. Kuch nahi hota. You know, this sort of thing. Na, kuch nahi hoga, you know. So this feeling should also not be developed among the students.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel like we need to provide a safe learning environment to all the children, not only one child. Because of one child, we cannot put the others children in problem. So it is like I feel it is all situational. It depends on what problem has occurred and in what circumstances it has occurred, and accordingly we decide, I suppose.
Thank you so much, Neeru ma'am. That was a very well explained answer by you. Moving forward, Suman ma'am, do you think other than suspension or expulsion, detention is the right way to deal with the students who are breaking the rules?
Mahek, yeah, suspension and expulsion should be the last resort. I strongly agree. Detention should be taken up initially, definitely, before we go in for suspending or expelling the student from the school. So detention is a milder kind of a form of a punishment, wherein the student basically is held back from few of the activities or few of the places of the school which he is quite desirous of and he's happy to be there. So the reason being that the child may be since he wants to be there and he's kept away from his friends, or maybe from that place of maybe the playgrounds, maybe the lunch hall. He's been told that now for a week you would not be allowed to sit in the lunch hall and have your lunch. You would be sitting in the principal's office or maybe some other room you assign, and you will be taking your lunch there. And during the activity period or the time you have allotted for the sports and all, you would not be going, and you would be sitting in the library and you would be completing your work or maybe whatever he has to do. So that would definitely, because the child may be a very good player, he may be fond of sports, and that would make him rectify his conduct. He would improve upon his conduct in the classroom or maybe in the school campus, whatever his misconduct has been of. It may be the initial, he may be causing problem in the buses, he may be causing in the corridor, maybe in the when he goes to the washroom area, or whichsoever. So detention basically should be taken up, which definitely improves, because I have seen in my school also academics. If you take up about the academics, where the child basically is slow in completing his work, even after reminders, even the parents are taken into consideration and told that the child is not doing his work properly, but still the child is not completing his assignments, his submission of projects or whatever work has been assigned. So what we do is we make the children now stay back during the activity time, and that really is this thing to the child, because he craves to be on the ground. He basically loves, the children love to be on the ground, and we have activity daily in our school actually. So that really makes them do the work fast, and maybe just one day of detention for maybe some this thing of academic work, and the children the next day they come with all the work complete and they hand over to the teacher. So this is just a mild kind of a form where academic work is not completed. But for things where they're causing some kind of a little severe kind of this thing, where they may be bullying somebody, a senior child may be bullying the younger child in the bus, maybe in the lunch hall, he may be throwing the food. In the washroom, they may be causing certain kinds of problems. There actually detention initially is fine, but if the child doesn't improve, then we need to take a call, because actually school is a place where safe environment is provided to everyone. And they are coming, everybody's coming there here to the school for learning. We need to basically teach them good things. They should be in an environment where positive learning is always there. So we cannot have a children or a child who basically is making the environment unhealthy in some form or the other. And that basically is not a place where such a kind of a thing has to happen. So maybe suspension could be taken up as a second alternative to detention to improve upon the child. So detention, I feel, should be the first reprimand and all those things, and detention should be taken up before we go in for the other two.
Detention,
yes,
followed up by detention followed up by counseling also, a bit of personal counseling. That really helps. Ma'am, it really helps a lot.
Would you like to add something more, Neeru ma'am?
Yeah, I feel it's not only the children who need to be in decorum. Staff also. Staff, whatever is the image of the staff, children tend to follow the same. Whatever is the mother they say, the same is the child. Same way in the school, whatever the staff does, the way they behave, children tend to imitate to much extent. And since I think it should be started at the very early stage, as ma'am said in the beginning, normally it is a feeling, especially if most of the schools are in rural areas, and in rural areas it's a feeling that he's too small, abhi to chota hai. No. Child is very, very receptive. His observation is much, much better than what we can expect also. So see that whatever you are doing, you are being observed. Got to be perfect. I've seen teachers literally yelling at children, and if the teacher is yelling, child will learn to yell. If the teacher is polite, child will be polite. Then you go to the class, you have to go prepared in the class, so the children are immediately put to work. There's less time for them to create discipline. If you are not prepared, you are just, just fiddling with the thing from where to start and what to do. And I think rather one day before, in my institutions, wherever I've worked as principal also, I have some 20 years working experience as a principal. So I have made it a point that children come prepared one day in advance for the next day. I mean, teachers are supposed to tell that tomorrow we'll be taking up this. This is your today's homework. Whatever you have learned today, on the basis of that, you will do it. And this is, we are going to do tomorrow, so come prepared. So that to much extent, children are mentally prepared before the teacher also enters the class, and teacher should know that here is from where I start. Then, of course, she's to be is very, very careful as to what sort of activities have to be done, how much it has to be just the spoken, the lecture part. The perfect planning is required. If planning is not there, it is really difficult to control a class. You have to be very, very that 40 minutes have to be judiciously used. So, giving your best during that time. And, of course, the main mantra is the patience. Very, very patient. You just cannot get irritated. Just your own. I normally tell my teachers that the moment you board the school bus, forget your home. And the moment after departure, your bus is out of the school, then you think about it. I don't say that you think about your homes during school and think about school when you are at home. So these things, they really help a lot. If discipline our staff if we can.
Thank you so much, Neeru ma'am. That was a really informative session with you. Thank you so much, Suman ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mahak.
Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am,
you.
for taking out your precious
Nice.
time.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really nice interacting.
Thank you, Mahak.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. And for all the viewers watching us out, please subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day.
Thank you.